All right, Nitro 110, also October 20th, 1997. Show opened with most of the NWO laid out backstage with merchandise and spray paint indicating that Sting, DDP, and Roddy Piper had been behind the attack.
There was an Icon shirt laying on the ground.
You know how weird it is that there was a
baseball bats
attack involving graffiti on both shows.
Yes.
On the same day, and they were both live.
Yeah.
What a weird coincidence.
And irate Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan stormed down to ringside, soon joined by Randy Savage. They demanded that Page and Piper and Sting come out and fight right now. There was a cage hanging over the ring for no reason. So nobody came out, they just left. The announcers ran their mouths for a while. They pointed something out. They actually did something good here, because I missed this last week. 2 weeks ago, Roddy Piper in an attack on the NWO stole Hulk Hogan's belt. Then last week, they did the gimmick with the fake stings, where one of the fake stings was actually the real Sting. Real Sting, after unmasking himself and kicking NWO ass for a while, he reaches into his belt and he pulls out the world title and passes it over to Piper. And this proves that Piper and Sting are in fact working together. So I'm glad they pointed that out. Not that there was much doubt about it, but hey, they're not just randomly attacking the NWO on their own. They are in fact a united front. Chris Benoit versus Eddie Guerrero.
Who wants to start? Holy shit, what a match.
Jesus Christ.
This was the best 4 minutes of wrestling I watched all week.
So awesome. Like, they're coming out. And I start to think about of the hundreds of Guerrero-Benoit matches, and there's like 2 I didn't like. And for some reason, those 2 floated to the surface, and I thought, I hope they beat they do better than that. They did. They did. First of all, these mullets. These mullets were awesome.
They were amazing.
So they did the most simple psychology thing in the world. Benoit's going on offense a lot, but every time he goes for his big chop of doom, Eddie ducks it and hits his own stiff chop. And he's avoiding the chop and avoiding it. And finally, Benoit just corrals him in the corner and hits about 5 stiff chops to the chest and just crushes him. And Eddie's selling the hell out of it. The fans are squealing. It's all great. Eddie's chest is all marked up by the end of this. So they keep going. It's still a great match. And then they did my new favorite finish ever. Benoit charges, Eddie hits a drop toe hold, and Benoit goes headfirst into the turnbuckle. Benoit's down, Eddie goes to move in on him, but the ref pushes him away so he can check on Benoit. But as the ref is checking, Eddie goes up top. And the ref turns Benoit over, he is now in perfect position for the frog splash, so Eddie just hits it as the ref is checking on him. The ref is appalled, but Eddie points at the mat, and the ref counts 3, and Eddie wins. That was great.
You know what's funny was when I was watching this, these guys were like the 2 best wrestlers in the history of the world.
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm. This was 19 years ago, and let's think back 19 years ago to our boom boxes, for example, and our CD players, and our Tandy computers, and your Nintendo video game system, all of this primitive stuff. Like, technology has advanced remarkably. In virtually every single technological thing you could think of in the world, except, and I won't bore everybody, microphones. But anyway, it's all better now than it was then. I'm not sure that there will ever be wrestlers as good as these 2 men again in the history of the world. Because let's think about what these guys did to get so great. They went all over the world. If they wanted to, they could get juiced to the gills. Nobody's telling them to slow the fuck down. They worked through injuries. They took shots to the head. They did all sorts of crazy things that you just can't do anymore. The things that these guys did to become as great as they were, you can't do that anymore. I'm not sure that we will ever see wrestlers, and granted, they're both dead. They were dead by 10 years later, they were dead. Mm-hmm. This is not a good way to live life.
No.
I'm not advocating this. But my point is, I don't think we're ever going to see wrestlers like this again. There's nobody like this now. These 2 would be the best wrestlers on the earth today.
By miles.
Who's better?
No one.
AJ's not better.
Fuck no.
Tanahashi's
and by the
not
way,
better. Okada's not better.
AJ, Tanahashi, and Okada would all tell you that, by the way.
Yeah, nobody is better than these two guys were in this match right here.
All of what you say is true.
No one's close.
I will point out, there were lots of other wrestlers doing self-destructive things at that time. They weren't this good.
I know, you're right.
Yeah.
That's true, but...
It really just backs up your point. There was no one this good before. There was no one this good since.
No.
That was just the peak.
I also like it. These two are best friends. And isn't it funny when you go into the ring with somebody that you're buddies with, and that gives you the green light to beat the crap out of them?
What are you talking about?
Come on, you were
Give me
more
a
stiff
break.
with me and Matt than you were with anybody
No, I
else.
wasn't. I was never stiff with anybody.
Okay, well, maybe it was just me then.
It was just you. Dude, you used to punch me in the face repeatedly.
I never punched you in the face. That's a lie.
I never touched anybody, except Vinny.
Matt Farmer?
Actually, no, it wasn't you.
Matt Farmer?
No. Oh, fuck that. He was in the wrong spot. And even if it were my fault, it was one time in hundreds of matches.
Okay, I never got a senton that
Mr. Sexy.
knocked the wind out of me.
I did super kick him in the face every time. And I have no idea why. And I
Why didn't he
liked
get his
him.
hand up. What an idiot.
I liked the guy. But he was the only guy I ever touched, and I touched him every time.
Big Sid must have loved me. He beat the fuck out of me every single time out. Like Mr. Concussion. So yeah, this match was great, everyone. They recapped Paige almost, but not really winning the U.S. title last week. Bill Goldberg versus Wrath.
So great.
It was, and yet it
This
was
is
not.
so easy, everybody. It's so easy.
Wrath comes out there, and he's as big as Bill, probably bigger. He's got his funky war helmet on with the spikes, this big leather trench coat, and he's posing on the turnbuckle, and the bell rings. It was a fair fight at that point. And he steps down, and Goldberg spears him, and jackhammers him, and pins him.
In his outfit.
Yeah, with his hat still
with
on.
a spiky metal helmet still on.
So great.
Now, this match was literally exactly 2 moves long. Wrath fucked them both up.
That's true.
I mean, he fucked up is a little strong, but he took a terrible bump for the spear, and it gave Goldberg great difficulty getting him up for the jackhammer.
But you know what? Goldberg just speared the shit out of him, and then he jackhammered the shit out of him.
And then he pinned him.
You know, have you watched Raw yet?
I have not.
Man,
I hear Goldberg was good.
He was great.
it just goes to show there's 2 things here that are actually the polar opposites. Number 1, this is so goddamn easy to get a guy over if you book him like Goldberg. We saw work with Ryback,
Yes.
of all people, doing the Goldberg impression. Now, the other part of it is Goldberg was something special. Goldberg was not just a big musclehead.
Oh, no.
Crimson was a big musclehead.
Yes.
And TNA managed to fuck it up. But the point of this is, if you got a guy who's charismatic, it ain't hard. They went to him and they said, you're going to kill Wrath immediately, and he's not even going to take his outfit off. Place went crazy for it. Because that's what people want to see when they watch wrestling.
Yes.
A big fucking guy kill people.
I am here to see some violence.
Now, what was funny is after this match, Vandenberg, Canyon, and Wrath all stayed at ringside.
Yeah.
And Goldberg starts walking in the back. Well, out comes Steve McMichael. And they meet in the aisleway. And they meet face to face. No one moves. They start bickering with each other. And then finally, they both give each other a wide berth. And that leads to the match, which is...
Before you get to that,
Okay.
I want to say one other thing about Vandenberg and Wrath and Mortis. They've got a wacky martial arts comic book gimmick.
Mortal Kombat.
Right.
Yes.
They've got a light show, and they've got costumes, and they've got snow, or is that glacier? You get the
glacier.
point.
Glacier, but the point. Yeah.
You get the point. When Goldberg killed this fucker, it was real.
Yeah.
They're all looking at him like, dude, he's fucked up.
It's true.
This Goldberg killed him. They're all concerned. Vandenberg's like, oh my God, is this guy alive? And Mortis is, I mean, he's in character. He's got his mask on, but he's Canyon. Like, oh my God, my friend's been killed.
You know what this was? Their reaction here was just like the reaction of the Three Amigos. Oh, great. Real bullets.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
That's exactly what this was. Shit just got real
Yes.
in their fantasy world.
Yes.
And it was awesome.
Well, not for them. Meanwhile, Goldberg...
Who cares about them?
Goldberg is going... right before the confrontation with McMichael, I believe was the first time he looked at the camera and asked, who's next?
That's right.
Then we get Mongo versus Mortis. So the whole gimmick is Mongo and Goldberg both played in the NFL. Now Mongo wants to show him up. So the bell rings, he jumps Mortis and starts hitting chop blocks. And he didn't quite have the same match Goldberg did.
Exactly.
He tries to make a cover after hitting a hip toss. But Vandenberg distracted him. We'll never know if Mortis would have stayed down for this hip toss. Had their match.
Maybe Mortis can... McMichael can do a shoot interview someday and let us know.
I hadn't thought of that. This match went on for a while, longer than it needed to, especially after watching the Goldberg squash.
Mm-hmm.
Mortis hit a deadlift superplex. He was strong. And finally, Mongo won with the tombstone, which looked terribly uncomfortable.
You know, as much as people rant about Mongo being in the Horsemen, I did love Mongo. Now that the Horsemen have disbanded and he's just Steve Mongo McMichael, wrestler, aura's gone. It's night and day.
Yeah.
He's just a dude now.
I told you, he lost his friends, lost his woman,
Man.
lost everything.
My point was, if they were teasing a Mongo versus Goldberg feud for later on down the road, we just saw Goldberg went in there and beat the bigger man in the team in 21 seconds.
Yes.
And it took Mongo over 5 minutes to beat the smaller Canyon.
Yes.
That didn't make sense.
No, you were correct. And I think they do. I think Goldberg's first pay-per-view match was against Mongo. Let's see. Gene interviews Mongo at ringside concerning his match against Deborah's Mystery Man at Halloween Havoc. Deborah comes out to steal the spotlight. Confirms her Mystery Man will not be Jeff Jarrett.
You remember how much hotter Deborah got when she actually ended up in WWF with Jeff Jarrett?
Yes.
And she had legs for days, and we never saw him in WCW?
No. So she knew her secret was killing Mongo, who responded by kicking the stairs like around the ring. He gave the stairs a mighty boot and they flew. She's running her mouth for a while, and she's got long past making her point, and Gene is trying to wrap things up, and she won't let him. She keeps talking and talking and talking. And finally, Gene pulls the mic away, turns to Mongo and says, I don't think you made a mistake leaving her.
It was even better when he tried to wrap it up and she yanked the mic away to keep talking.
Yeah.
And Gene just looks straight at the camera and rolls his eyes.
So Mongo left, tearing up Stevie Richards' sign on the way out. Raven did a promo about Recess.
I got one other thing I got to say. Mongo's in there bumbling around like a bumbling numbskull. Everything looks horrible. And then he grabs the guy and gives him a beautiful tombstone. It's like the one move you can do.
I think it's beautiful because he actually dropped him on his head.
He may have.
It did not look fun. Raven does a promo about Recess. Oh, this is where all the kids go to get bullied, to get teased for being different, get picked last for games. So it was like that one time he went skiing and he quoted Fleetwood Mac.
I cannot escape Bray Wyatt.
He said the past was scars, memories like razor blades, and what are you supposed to do when everything you can remember hurts?
Which is ironic because he used the razor blades to create scars.
Word. I thought of that. I don't think Raven and I in real life have a lot in common, but his character hits me right in the soul. I can confirm. This is what Recess was. Getting bullied, getting teased for being different, having no friends. Scars stick around.
What are you, tall?
Did you play football?
If you saw me when I played football, I was incredibly skinny. I was a beanpole.
Huh.
Yes. This all happened. I swear
All
to
right.
God. Yeah. I'll bring you a picture of me in a football uniform sometime. You will laugh. Mike Tenay had more on Lucha Libre and the Mexican Luchadors. Specifically, a Rey Mysterio Jr. profile. This was hysterical. Do either of you guys watch Modern Family? Brian, obviously you don't. It's a television show.
Actually, I have.
Okay.
I haven't seen it.
They did last episode.
I've seen something you haven't seen.
Your eyes lit up.
I'm baffled.
You've escaped the bubble.
How have you not seen Modern Family?
It's just not on my watch list. I watch Gotham and stuff like that.
Dude. Anyway, Vinny.
One of the characters in this show is a young Colombian boy who is getting ready to apply to colleges. And so his stepdad is trying to convince him to go down to the rough parts of town and shoot a video about how this was his upbringing. Whereas, in fact, the joke being this character, if you watch the show, he's always Mr. Pampered, and he likes spa treatments and rose petals. And that
Sounds like Craig.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That is I bring this up because it is exactly what happened in this Rey Mysterio video. He's in the barrio of Mexico City. It's hard growing up here. It's dangerous. I'm thinking, you grew up in San Diego. Now, I know there's some rough parts of San Diego. Maybe your parts of San Diego were the rough parts of San Diego, but you didn't grow up in Mexico City.
He's like that one rapper, I can't remember his name, who actually shot himself so he could have street cred. True story.
I believe you. Johnny Knoxville?
No, he's a rapper, Vinny.
Oh, my bad. So they noted Rey had survived the many attacks of the Giants and the NWO. Thrived, in fact, after all these attacks. And teased he might be losing his mask to Eddie Guerrero. This is a great segment.
Hey, I've said it before. They've done a great job building this up in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Or 4 weeks or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. Can you believe 4 weeks of this and they were going to take his mask off the next week? Come on.
Glad cooler heads prevailed.
Juventud Guerrero versus Yuji Nagata.
This match.
Could Juvi have been worse?
No. There was a point where Yuji pushed him off and Juvi forgot the spot. So the spot was Yuji whipping him into the ropes and him coming back, and Yuji had to put him in a headlock.
Yeah.
He whipped him into the ropes to put a headlock on.
I remember when I talked about how much Juvi sucked, and I had people say, oh, Brian is well known in 1996. He was one of the best workers in the world. It's called Think for Yourself. I'm watching him right now. He fucking sucks. He has some good high flying here and there, but every match, there's some moment where he's just lost. He can't do anything in between the flips. He's nothing but flips and spinning.
See, I was just watching this thinking, holy crap, Yuji's kicking the hell out of him, and now I know why. I didn't recognize that. Remember the spot Craig was talking about there. So, Juvi goes up top, but Sonny Ono knocks him down. Nagata wins with the Nagata lock, but then Ultimo Dragon appears. He is chasing Sonny around the ring until finally Yuji wipes him out, and they double-teamed him for a while, and that was that. Villanos and Damien were supposed to have a trios match, but out came the Giant instead. Schiavone let us know this was not the scheduled match. Giant starts cutting this promo as the Villanos are begging for more luchadors to come out. Giant calls out Kevin Nash, says, "You're not hurt, you're hiding. I am the only Giant in wrestling, not you."
You had arthroscopic knee surgery. High school kids are back in 2 days. You're still out.
By the way, that's a lie.
Tell us more.
It takes about a week.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think he actually had arthroscopic surgery. He may have had
Orthoscopic, maybe?
whatever. It's arth.
Crystal healing?
What?
Orth? Arth?
I don't know.
I'll find out right now, damn it.
Orthoscopic. I've had it on one knee. Thank you.
What, do they have a spelling bee before they put you under the knife?
I should hope not, because I don't remember anything.
Arthroscopic. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyway, the Villanos finally decide
With an A.
Starts
Go
with
ahead,
an A or
Vinny.
an O.
A.
Like,
A.
like art.
Whatever.
What the hell do you want me to do here? CorrectHealthline.com?
Continue, Vince.
The Luchadors go after the Giant. They're tired of this large American taking their time. It went badly for them.
Oh, let's just do 10 minutes on pecans again. Jesus, put your table...
I didn't say anything.
Giant powerbombed one of them. Okay. Brian has gotten to Craig, everyone. Craig has gotten to. Disco Inferno versus Rey Mysterio Jr.
What a match.
Dude, you correct my punctuation, you correct my spelling, you correct
my math.
How dare you? You correct how I say things. And then last week
What are you talking about?
I said something, that's not a word. And then you wait.
Well, you were right. I admitted you were right.
Okay.
So now you admit I'm right about Arth.
Absolutely.
Okay,
I'm
thank
sorry.
you. Rey Mysterio and the Disco Inferno.
Such a dick sometimes.
Can you imagine the world we live in where we got to see Rey Mysterio versus the Disco Inferno?
It really happened.
Was it not great, Craig?
It was a fun
Thank
match.
you. Exactly.
Let's see. Disco hit a powerbomb to the Macarena. Ray went for the West Coast pop when Eddie ran out and attacked him for the DQ.
He snuck out.
Okay.
He squatted down real low in the aisle.
Yeah.
And he snuck out.
Yes. He's sneaky, like he did last week. Jacqueline ran out and attacked Disco and chased him to the back. Bischoff, Hogan, and Savage came out to talk more. They had nothing new to say, except Bischoff added Vince was afraid of Hogan's movie.
They actually, WWE had a Survivor Series flashback special that they purposely aired opposite Hulk Hogan's stupid fucking movie. Can you imagine? What the hell are you worried about?
I don't know.
That was on... What was the date on that movie? Wasn't it like the 23rd?
October 28.
Okay, so that was...
So hopefully it's in the archives of the network.
It was the Tuesday after this show then.
Yes, next Tuesday.
Huh.
Dean Malenko versus Curt Hennig.
This match was amazing.
I don't know what happened in this match.
I know exactly what happened in this match. So, they had this match, and then immediately afterwards, they had a Booker T match with Lex Luger.
No. That was after.
It doesn't matter. Point is, Booker... It doesn't matter when it aired. There's a point to what I'm saying. You had Booker versus Luger, and you had Dean Malenko versus Curt Hennig. Booker T could tell that his opponent was getting tired. And so on at least 2 occasions, he put him in a rest hold.
I see.
Dean Malenko didn't give a shit.
Yes, I see.
He pummeled whatever his name is, Curt Hennig. Curt Hennig is fucking exhausted.
He's blowed up.
He can barely stand. And Dean is making him run, and he's throwing him outside, and he's making him jump. Luger, or I keep saying Luger, because I expect this to happen to Luger, but it happened to Hennig. Hennig is gasping for air. He can barely move, and they just keep going. I've never seen a man, who appears to be in good shape. I've seen fat guys get blown up like this, but Curt Hennig was done for. And they just kept going for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Dean made him work. It was a decent match.
It was a strange match.
Considering one man was basically a corpse,
Yeah.
it was pretty impressive.
Yes, Dean basically wrestled a broom in this match.
The announcers claimed Curt came out. Keep in mind, 90 minutes before this match, he had been beaten in unconsciousness with a baseball bat.
That's right.
He's fine. He's just fine. Though the announcer said anytime he sold anything, there's that beating again. That's why he got punched. So yeah, Dean, let's see. The announcers, by the way, we've gotten to the point in the Monday Night Wars where every time anyone hooks a finish, at least in an NWO match, everyone turns to the back to see who's going to run out.
Yep.
And the announcers are calling attention to it. So eventually Page won clean with a fisherman suplex, following what I described as a wonky moment when the announcers weren't sure what had happened.
Yeah, because Malenko, this match went 9 minutes and 48 seconds.
7:18.
Can we use the non-commercial time? It went 9:48, and Dean took 9 minutes and 40 seconds of it.
Yeah.
So in the final 8 seconds, Hennig booted him and gave him a fisherman suplex and won.
And he was trying to go for the fisherman suplex earlier in the match, but Dean wasn't having it.
No, he just kept going. We're going 10 minutes, motherfucker, whether you're ready for it or not.
Ray Traylor versus Scott Norton.
This match.
Highlight here was Ray Traylor hitting the fattest enziguri of all time.
How much time did you write down for this?
3:13.
Okay, that's how long it went.
Right.
It
There
felt
was no
like
commercials.
It felt like 10:13. This just went on forever.
Ray hit a big fat enziguri, the fattest and worst high cross body of all time. Instead of making the pin, he went after Vincent on the apron. Vincent sprayed him with spray paint in the face. Ray Traylor turned around. His face was now black. Ruff was cool with this, and Norton pinned him. What the hell happened to the officials in the late 90s? So then a bunch of B-teamers and Scott Hall came out. They beat Ray Traylor up for a while and went to commercial.
Yeah, because they sprayed black spray paint in the guy's eyes. And the announcers are talking about how this man could be blinded. He's
Get
been
him to the hospital right
sprayed
now.
in the eyes with black spray paint. And no sooner is he pinned than he just gets up and starts beating him up till they overwhelm him. I was like, way to sell that spray paint, Ray Traylor.
This show was better than Raw, but it was not very good. Booker T versus Lex Luger.
I was so fixing to think this was going to be horrible, and it was weird because Luger came out, and I thought, look at this guy. In August, he was the world champion. And Now he's just a dude. Mm-hmm. And then he had a great match, and I realized he's facing Scott Hall at the pay-per-view with Larry as referee. So they actually have him doing something, but man, he's off the rails. It's Lex Luger.
He actually got his biggest reaction here since they took the belt off him.
That's true.
Mainly because Booker T was great and carried him. Very basic match. Nothing much to it. Lex won with a torture rack. Actually, I will say this. Lex made his comeback. He hits the clotheslines and loaded elbow. And he does that flex gimmick where he's calling for the torture rack. That's when everyone started to jump up and down with glee. Booker actually cut him off and made his own comeback, but then he missed the hangover, and Lex finally got the torture rack and won. Everyone went ape shit. Lex, as you noted, was tired. Gene could tell. I don't think I've ever seen Gene give a longer introduction to an interview, as the two of them just standing there and Gene going on and on and on about what just happened. And Lex's first words were, Booker T is really good.
He says, this guy's getting really good.
Yes.
About that time, a fan in the crowd held up a sign and it said, Gene is an ex-porn star.
I hope that's not true.
He has the mustache for it.
Dude, we just saw Rick Rude 1986 on NWA. Do not speak to me in great mustaches.
That's true.
Lex says Larry Zbyszko will not be intimidated by Scott Hall. When Larry comes out, he warns Lex, I am going to call this match right down the middle. Scott Hall's a tough man to beat. You should not get overconfident. And he leaves, and Lex is bewildered and says, that's all I wanted.
It was really weird.
It was strange.
I mean, it was weird because as Larry's talking about how, I'm not going to favor you. I don't like Scott Hall. I don't like the NWO. But it's been 20 years to build up my credibility and my legend. And I must call this right down the middle. And Luger's looking at him weird like, what? And I'm thinking, so is the storyline that Luger is expecting him to favor him? But then when it's over, Luger just says, that's all I wanted. I was like, what the fuck is happening here? I'm lost.
It was very strange.
Let me ask you a question. The next matchup was Scott Hall versus Scott Steiner. Isn't it funny? Actually, it's more of a statement. Isn't it funny how when Scott is in there with Kevin Nash and they're doing a tag match, that the tag match drags on and on and on, and both the big men, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, are kind of lethargic in the ring. But ever since Kevin's been gone and Scott's been a singles wrestler, he's had awesome, awesome matches.
I shall disagree.
What?
Well, I'm not going to disagree about Nash.
Okay.
But I think that Hall always works hard. The problem is when he's in with Nash, all you can do is look at how lazy Nash is.
I see.
Yeah. Hall always tries, even when Nash is out there fucking around. Hall's trying.
So it was Scott Hall versus Scott Steiner. Hall, before the match, cut a promo doing a survey.
One other thing about Nash.
All right.
I didn't think about this last week. I don't even know why. But the Steiners finally won the tag team titles.
Right.
Nash was hurt.
Of course.
Right. Six took his spot.
I know. I didn't even think about it till later.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know why I thought about it. I was just walking around thinking, fucking won the titles and Nash didn't get beat.
No.
Yeah, he didn't have to drop the title.
This
Wasn't even in the
idiot.
building.
That's a very Shawn Michaels
That's
thing
not,
to do.
You
no.
don't say.
Idiot's the wrong word. It's a smart thing to do. It may be selfish, but it's not stupid. So yeah, Hall cuts a promo on the Giant on Nash's behalf and also cuts a promo on Luger. Then they do the match. Again, they were pointing out Scott Hall was beaten with a baseball bat 2 hours ago. Now he's out there fine. So Steiner makes his comeback. Hall very deliberately hits the ref for the DQ, but now there's no ref to call for the DQ. So the ref is outside. DiBiase goes to check on the ref, and the two Scots are in the ring. And Hall turns to Steiner, and all he has to do is set himself up to be kicked in the belly. And they just barely made it on camera. I had to watch like three times.
It made it enough.
I had to watch like 3 times to actually make sure what I thought happened. It looked like he was going for the biggest crotch chop of all time.
That's what I thought he was doing.
Because he turned to Scott Steiner. He spread his legs very far apart. He threw his hands way up in the air. He arched his back. And finally Steiner just kicked him right in the navel.
Are we sure that he wasn't going to do the world's biggest crotch chop?
I don't know.
I was certain that's what he was going to do.
I don't know, but I've... Not that I ever had any accomplishments like Scott Hall and Scott Steiner, but I've wrestled matches, and I know that if a guy's on the ground and you want him hit in the belly, you raise your hands, he will hit you in the belly.
Mm-hmm. Well, he should.
If he's any good at all. So that's what Scott was giving him the signal.
Well, the best spot is when you're in the corner and you cover your face.
Yep.
So the guy kicks you in the gut.
That works too. Yeah.
And then you grab your gut and you put your face forward and he punches you in the face.
Yeah.
Then you go back and you cover your face and arch and he hits you in the gut again.
Sure.
That's funny.
Thank you. So anyway, point being, I've never seen Scott Hall do what he did here. But Scott Steiner kicked him in the gut, hit a double underhook powerbomb. DiBiase can't wake up the ref.
We should mention that at one point, Hall rolled outside and Ted DiBiase punched him. And he took a big bump.
I did skip over that. You're right.
That was a great punch.
Oh, yeah. So, let's see. No ref after the powerbomb. Hall cuts Steiner off, hits the razor's edge. Out comes a mysterious masked referee who hits the ring and gives a fair, even 3 count. And Scott Hall pins him. Foreshadowing, by the way. Yeah, Scott Hall beat Scott Steiner. It doesn't matter which ref countered. Scott Hall was the better man.
Why did Vincent have to have a mask on?
I don't know.
It's one of those WCW things. Like, it doesn't count. It is bullshit. So why do you even put a mask on the guy?
We were watching, not you and I, me and Sean, it's like 10 years ago we were watching it. One of the old pre-Nitro WCW shows where Hulk Hogan had donned the black. And he comes through the crowd wearing a Lone Ranger mask. And I have been watching wrestling so long that I get numb to some of the stupid stuff that happens in it. Sean just starts screaming with laughter. He was wearing a Lone Ranger mask so the fans wouldn't recognize Hulk Hogan.
Mm-hmm. He might as well have put the glasses with the big mustache and nose on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway. Main event was Bischoff, Hogan, and Savage coming out again. They had calmed down. They realized they had overreacted. They're going to take care of Piper, DDP, and Sting at Halloween Havoc. At this point, fake Sting is beginning to show up just like last week. 2 of them hit the ring. They attack the NWO. It is very clearly Piper and Page. The rest of the NWO comes down the aisle. They wipe out the 3rd fake Sting who had been there.
Who was that geek?
That may have been the fake Sting.
There were 2 fake Stings in the ring, which were DDP and Piper. And then there was a 3rd guy coming down the ramp, and he just got laid out and killed.
He was the decoy.
Yeah.
Sting just hired a geek.
Yeah.
Listen, buddy.
A patsy.
You're going to get killed. Okay, but here's $50.
Better be more than that.
Or he may have lied to him and said, everything will be fine. You don't even have to get in the ring. So the NWO hits the ring with Piper Sting and Page Sting, and they're beating it up. And now the cage that's been hanging over the ring all night lowers just for this reason. But as it is lowering, so also lowers the real Sting. And now he has turned the tide, and they're destroying people. And somehow Hogan, Savage, and Bischoff ended up outside the cage, and then it very quickly faded away. It was actually a cool idea for an angle, but it didn't get enough time, and it was rushed, and it didn't have an actual revolution. It just was still going on when the show ended.
It was rushed on a 2.5-hour show.
Well, there's that too.
God, it was 2.5 hours again. This was 1,000 times more entertaining than Raw.
It really was.
That I can say. Not necessarily great, but entertaining.
I will say this, though. The crowds on Raw have been bigger, and they've been more vocal in the past month. And I'm sure, if I remember my history, they only get bigger.
I believe you're right.
Well, they do get bigger, yes. They did have a bigger crowd. Raw had a bigger crowd than Nitro this week.
I love that.
But it was a worse show.
That is also true. They killed more
got
fans.
Smashed in the ratings again.
They ruined more wrestling fans.
As Jeff Jarrett's talking about God only knows what on the other
He may
show.
still be talking.
Could be. Could be. All right, everybody, that's it. We'll be back on Thursday. Oh, Craig, I'm giving you a week's warning.
Mm-hmm.
I need a contest to give away copies of WWE 2K17. The greatest video game ever.
Did I not just hear you guys burying it the other day?
He did. I loved it.
You were giggling.
I know. I was laughing my ass off.
Somebody, I don't
If
remember.
I knew it was that entertaining, I'd buy a game system.
I don't remember exactly what I said. Somebody on the board cut a long, scathing promo on me for laughing at that stupid game.
Why?
You must have no joy in your life if you laugh at this game. What the hell, dude? I've only seen gifs of botches.
Doesn't every video game have little glitches that make you laugh?
Not like this. I'm sure every once in a while there's some clipping or something.
I gotta say, I saw the one where Hunter's head went into the box,
Yeah.
and then it dragged him.
Yeah.
That was not nearly as funny as the one I watched last week, that I lost it.
With Cena and Punk.
Yeah, that's the funniest one ever. I showed that to Whitney. She was laughing.
There's one where there's one where Neville's coming out and he's got the cape, and everything's fine. His pyro's going off, and he does his little crouch pose, and then he starts going up the aisle, and the cape just starts to grow, and grow, and grow.
Huh.
And another one where they're fighting on top of the cell, and someone doesn't move, and they both fall down through the cell to the ring, but one of them bounces back up to the top of the cell.
Wow. Now that's a ring I wouldn't mind taking a bump in.
Dude, amazing. It was explained that there are glitches in all of video games,
Yeah.
but in 2016, it's much easier to capture these glitches because people record their video play.
Right.
So you see them. It's not
But
like
I'm
this
a
is
bad person for
new.
laughing at these glitches?
No, you're
No.
a great person. My attention was brought to it because of you. So thank you. We're going to give away copies of this amazing game on this program. And yeah, contest will be announced next week, so get ready, everybody. Back on Thursday with more, and that is it. We'll talk to you again after a while.
Good night.
Bye.